channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Transformers Premium Finish Studio Series Voyager-class Bumblebee movie, Optimus Prime. Arguably one of, if not the best Optimus Prime or Studio Series figure ever released by Hasbro and Takara Tomy. Honestly, I think this mold is smashing, and was actually really excited to see as to what Takara Tomy would come up with in terms of paint apps, as that was really the only area where I found the original version was slightly lacking, and my goodness have they delivered. This is definitely by far the best reissue of this guy we've gotten at the moment. Now, personally, I've always loved the design of this guy. I think he's by far one of the best G1 adapted designs that we actually saw in the Bumblebee movie. He looked absolutely sensational, so good that we are in fact actually going to be seeing an incredibly similar design to this in the actual Transformers Rise of the Beast movie, which is just awesome, as this is a really great breath of fresh air in terms of Optimus Prime designs, and this figure is really well done. It actually translated so well into a Voyager figure. So without further ado, enough gushing about this actual design, let's actually take a look at what Takara Tomy have cooked up. Now, previously I did take a look at the Premium Finish Bumblebee, and you guys all know that at the end of that video, I was really angered by it. I thought that it was a dreadful release. I thought Takara massively dropped the ball. The Siege Optimus Prime they released was actually pretty decent, and Optimus Prime from Bumblebee is by far the best one that I've taken a look at so far. So you can see in terms of detail, the face sculpt has been really nicely painted this time round. You can see how we've got a really nice metallic silver finish there for the actual mouthpiece, with the sections around the eyes as well as these tiny sections on the side of the head actually picked out in gunmetal, and of course the eyes are indeed painted in this really nice almost all spark blue, which looks fantastic. You can also appreciate the sculpt work that we've got going on here for the crest. As we turn our attentions to the side, we have got this really odd silver paint app actually applied to the side of Prime's head. I'm not entirely sure as to what they were trying to convey with this. This really is the only area of which looks slightly puzzling, but you can see some nice gunmetal highlights there for those circular sections. I think the actual torso plate looks fantastic. As mentioned beforehand, the mold is just awesome, but you can see a really awesome metallic dry brushing effect going on here for the torso, which really excels some of those details. Honestly, that looks absolutely incredible. You can see some fantastic metallic gunmetal there, really nice red paint apps, and overall this is just candy to the eye. And then as we turn our attention here to the shoulders, unlike the mass release version, we do in fact get the Autobot insignias here on the sides, which is super cool, and they have in fact actually gone this time with the more movie accurate white instead of silver stripes that we saw on the original version. And you can once again see some really nice battle damage paint up here to the side, as well as here for these shoulder sections. The smokestacks have been cast out of gunmetal, and then as we turn our attention down to the lower section of the forearm, you can once again see some really awesome looking sculpt work, but we also in fact have actually got a ton load of paint here for this lower section of the forearm. So we have now got the movie accurate yellow arrows here, which have been painted really well. You can see some nice gunmetal highlights here for some of this mechanical detail. It is a shame that they didn't in fact actually paint this top section, but nevertheless I think that looks really cool, and you can also see some nice silver detailing here just to give you that weathered appearance. And of course the entire hand section has been really nicely picked out in this very awesome glossy blue, which not only harkens back to the original G1 design but makes this look super awesome. And this actual holographic section where Prime actually shot out the hologram of Earth has also been painted really nicely there in gunmetal. Then as we turn our attention down to the thigh region, you can see very nice looking paint going on here for this skirt piece. I do like the yellow and black details that we've got going on here. You can see nice silver here for these skirt pieces. The thighs have only been painted from the front. Here from the side they are merely just gunmetal plastic, but I actually don't think that looks too bad. You can see some nice weathered effect going on here. I do like how they have left this section gunmetal in order to match the movie. And then as we turn our attention to the shins, this is just loaded with paint, so we've got some nice silver details there, some nice dry brushing going on here for the actual top of the knee. You can see some nice wearing effect here for the shin, and a really nice dark gunmetal going on for the shin. And finally the foot too. Even these tiny little pieces here at the bottom have also been painted, and it doesn't end there. As we actually turn our attention here to the back, this was one of the few Studio Series figures where Hasbro actually sculpted and detailed the back perfectly well, and Takara have just taken that and honestly amplified it with the new paint apps. Honestly, this looks super awesome. So you can see some spinal detailing, you can see some really awesome back detailing this time, all refined with that gunmetal, and overall it's definitely by far one of the best repaints that I've seen Takara bring out for quite some time. Now, turning to articulation very quickly, the head sadly is a little limited, so we can merely just get this looking up and down slightly as well as left to right, albeit if you actually use the transformation joint, you can get him looking down to a pretty decent range. The shoulders here can hinge out to the sides. These pieces will also move in order to accommodate that, which is cool. We can also rotate here at the shoulder of the full 360. We do get a rotation here at the bicep, a 90-degree bend there at the elbow, and due to transformation, you can also utilize this forearm joint in order to recreate that look where Optimus Prime is commanding B-127 to travel to Earth. We also do get a rotation here at the wrist, albeit very stiff. Of course, we get a waist rotation, which is fantastic. The legs here can kick forwards that far, back to that far, as well as out to the side. Once again, the skirt piece will move out of the way to accommodate that. We get a rotation here at the upper thigh, 90-degree bend there at the knee, and finally the foot can in fact actually pivot forwards, backwards, as well as rock side to side. However, the same issue that we saw in the original version does retain here, in the sense that if you do manipulate this joint, you are more than likely going to in fact actually disengage the locking mechanism here that we've got for the back of the figure. And whilst on the topic of that, just how awesome was it that Takara and Hasbro did in fact actually sculpt these regions so that they looked super cool from the back. Honestly, such a fantastic figure. So overall, in terms of paint, mold, articulation, this guy is just awesome. He was already fantastic as it is, and this time with the refinements made to the paint apps just to make him that more movie accurate is honestly just so awesome. Now, he of course comes with one accessory, that being his ion blaster. This too has actually been painted, so the sculpt work looks fantastic, very accurate to the film, but we've got this really awesome metallic gunmetal paint applied over the top, which honestly is just the icing on the cake. This looks super cool. You can see where the handle and these pegs are concerned, that is just merely the cast black plastic, so definitely the paint really does amplify the look of this, and of course it can be inserted into either of Prime's hands. So overall, just a fantastic looking figure. Without further ado, let's bring out some comparisons. So straight up here, we've got the premium finish Optimus Prime compared next to the regular mass release version, and straight off the bat, you're able to tell as to which one is the Takara Tomy release. Of course, this version of Optimus came out, I believe, only 2 months after the actual initial release of the Bumblebee movie, so the paint was not as accurate to the film as they've been able to replicate here with this newer version, and the moulding is exactly the same. So if you were unhappy with certain aspects of this guy, I know the head was definitely an area where fans wish that maybe the ears were slightly extended, then you're not still going to be a fan of this particular version. But if the paint was definitely an issue here on this release, then I definitely think they've perfected it here with this version. And not to mention any version of Optimus, but this one in particular is in fact incredibly hard to actually track down on the aftermarket. So this premium finished Bumblebee Prime may in fact actually be the best way to get this into the collection. And as we just very quickly bring them in here for a closer look, you can see the improvements made to the paint where the head is concerned, especially there for the torso, the shoulders. You can see how we have the silver stripes, whereas we've now got the white stripes. I really like the dry brushing that we've got going on here for this new premium finish version. You can see the thighs just look a lot better. We've got some refinements made here to the paint amps, so instead of this red and silver, we've now just got mere gunmetal, and the foot as well as the actual shin paint has also turned out really nicely. And not to mention the hands, you can see we've got the yellow arrows here, we've got the gunmetal, we've got the blue, and then even as we turn our attention here to the back, you can see the new premium finish is fully painted, and the guns are also very different. So in my personal opinion, this is definitely the best version we've got so far, but there is in fact one other Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime re-release that we have to take a look at next, and that is the Takara Tomy 35th anniversary version, which I believe in fact actually came packaged with a reissue of the original G1 Optimus Prime toy. Now when this was released, I actually really loved what they did with the colour scheme, but you can see actually comparing it to the premium finish version, it looks terrible, especially where those grey thighs are concerned, the grey torso. Of course, this didn't have any of the battle damage. They merely just painted the outer sections here in blue instead of the whole hand. So once again, definitely the premium finish version is the way to go. It looks super awesome. So turning to transformation here for the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, to begin with, you are just going to want to take the head, center that here. We can then come to these forearms and in fact rotate here at the middle section of the forearm. So just rotate that in, come to this side, and of course repeat the same process. We can then take these sections, lift these up, and repeat the same process. Angle the arms here out to the sides just to really and truly get them out of the way. Come here to the back, disengage this back plate here from these two tabs. We can then take these sections here, just loosen that up like so. Turn your attention to the front, take the windscreen, pop that section forward, and then rotate these sections out. Come to this side, and of course repeat the same process. We can take the head, disengage that, rotate that section down, and then essentially you are going to want to take this here, lift this section up, collapse that panel down, as we're now going to want to rotate this here all the way around, just like so. Once that's completed, we can then take the windscreen and just fold that there, take this panel, snap that into place, and then you're going to want to take the head, align this section up, and snap that there into the back. We can then take these, angle them like so, rotate now at the upper section of the bicep, collapse this elbow joint in, and this will in fact actually rest inside just like so, and this tab will peg into that slot. We can then take this section here, scoot that under, turn our attention now to this side and repeat the same process. Rotate at the bicep, collapse this section in, and then snap that tab in there. Take this section, shoot that underneath just like so, ensuring that is straightened up. We can then take these panels, extend that out, extend that out, and this slot will in fact peg into this tab, and then this tab will in fact peg there into that slot. So just snap all of that into place, turn your attention to this side, and of course repeat the same process. So that tab into that slot, and that tab into that slot. So just snap that in just like so. We can then take these panels, extend those out, and these will in fact also peg into the sides. Come to this side, and repeat the same process, snap that in. And here for the front grille, you can see we've got 2 slots here and here. These will in fact peg into these 2 tabs. So just angle this section up, snap that section in, and that is essentially the front section of Prime fully transformed. We can then turn our attention here to the side of the legs, take these panels, hinge those up, come to this side, hinge that section up, take these gas canisters and in fact actually rotate them, which does in fact reveal some really nice sculpt work, which is something that they just didn't have to do, as you don't really see it in truck mode due to it being on the underside, and you don't see it at all in robot mode. We can then take these panels, lift these up, and this tab will peg there into that slot, so snap that in there, come to this side, and repeat the same process. And just to create for a slightly more cleaner silhouette, we can then collapse those gas canisters along the side. We're then going to want to come here to the actual shins, take these panels, lift these sections up, and then for this section, you're going to want to compress that along the back, take this here, snap that into place, and sit that flush. Come to this side, and repeat the same process, so snap that together. We're then going to want to extend the foot, rotate this section around, rotate this here all the way around, and you can see a tiny tab that will in fact peg into a slot on the underside of this, so snap that in there, and of course, come to this side, and repeat the same process, rotate that around, snap that into place, take the trailer hitch, hinge this section out, and it is just a matter of aligning these 2 sections together, snapping them there into place, and then finally coming here to this back section, snap that in, and then these 2 tabs will in fact peg into these 2 slots, and then these 2 tabs will in fact peg into those 2 circular ports, so just snap that there into place, snap that there into place, and there we have the premium finish Transformers Bumblebee Studio Series Optimus Prime fully transformed up into once again a super awesome truck mode. This looks really awesome, such a fantastic alt mode to accommodate one of the best live action movie Optimus Prime designs. Hasbro and Takara did a smashing job, especially considering this was one of the first mainline releases that we had ever seen for this particular design. It just goes to show how well these actual designs translate into figures. They look super cool. So you can see here for the front section of the truck, the silver has now completely abolished here for the stripes. They are now picked out in the much more movie accurate white, which I think looks fantastic. You can also see various nuts and bolts of which have indeed been sculpted into this, which looks awesome. We've got this really nice metallic silver going on here for the front section of the grille. The sculpt work looks fantastic, as so it does here for the actual headlights. You can see the window wipers picked out in black, really nice transparent blue here for the actual windscreen. Sadly, these sections are still just cast plastic, which are a slight departure here from the front, but still I don't think these look too bad. The side view mirrors picked out in silver. You can see some very nice sculpt work here from the side. The wheels have also been picked out in silver, which is awesome. You can see some nice silver highlights, the gas cans there, and the actual back doesn't clean up that bad either. Considering this was a Voyager, it does indeed actually clean up a lot better than the movie masterpiece figure, which is quite surprising. You can see a really nice trailer hitch, some nice suspension sections here, of which have been picked out in gunmetal, and the same also applies here for this side. So overall, a super solid truck. Of course, it would have been nice if maybe they could have found a way to slightly space out these smokestacks, as they are a little too in the center for my liking, but other than that, a fantastic release. And this can indeed, of course, actually roll along the ground with absolute ease, as you would expect. And finally, you can take the blaster and in fact actually wedge it here into the trailer hitch. So overall, definitely a smashing looking alt mode here for Optimus Prime. Now, turning here for a truck mode comparison, we've got the premium release here on the left and the mass release version on the right. Now, unlike bot mode, you actually can't tell the differences straight away. They are definitely a little more minute here. Most noticeably, once again, would be the comparison between the white strip here for the premium finish version and the silver here for the mass release version. But other than that, the paint is pretty much in all of the exact same spaces. There really isn't all that much to write home about. Even as we turn here to the back of the trailer hitch, they are in fact painted in the exact same way. So it really is just robot mode of which you're going to be able to tell the noticeable differences. But very awesome figures. Both of them I think are really cool. But of course, if you're just after the definitive version of Prime, then I would still highly recommend the premium finish version, as in robot mode it is leagues above, at least in my opinion, when in comparison to the mass produced release. So some final thoughts here for this Transformers Premium Finish Studio Series Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. I mean, what else is there to say? This is a fantastic figure straight off the bat. The actual mold is by far one of, if not the best Studio Series Optimus Prime that we have seen from this line so far. Honestly, the attention to detail, the sculpt work, the accuracy to the movie, and the actual transformation and truck mode all are fantastic. Definitely a super awesome mold. And this time, of course, with that premium finish deco, it really does take it to the next level, as you would expect from Takara. As mentioned beforehand, I found their Volkswagen Bumblebee to be incredibly underwhelming, but it is definitely definitely a return to form here with B-Movie Prime, and considering this mold is in fact incredibly difficult to actually track down on the aftermarket, this premium finish release may in fact actually be not only the best way but also the cheapest way to actually get this into the collection. And considering the paint is in fact superior, I would definitely recommend to check out this version over the mass-produced version any day of the week. Now of course, if you own the original version, are the differences that noticeable to warrant actually double dipping on this mold? I would say yes. I really do think in regards to robot mode it looks really impressive, and considering truck mode is roughly exactly the same to how the actual mass-produced version looked, if you own both of them you could in fact actually stick the original version in truck mode and keep the premium finish version in robot mode. So definitely a fantastic figure, really well done, and I'm super glad to finally add this here to the collection. So with all that being said, I believe that just about wraps up my review. I'd love to know down in the comment section below, on what do you think of this new premium finish release by Takara Tomy? Do you guys believe this to be a step up from the regular release, or are you in fact more than suffice with the regular release, and will you be giving this guy a miss? I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Also be sure to let me know on what you thought of the video and of course the review, and as always I thank you guys all so much for watching. Until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.